was a gang. It was called the Murderland Mafia Piru, or MMP. Members operated in northwest Baltimore City and neighboring county neighborhoods. So Windsor Mill, Gwen Oak, Howard Park, and Woodlawn, and Liberty Heights, that entire area.
Say that the Treetop Piru gang was under investigation by the Knoxville Police Department for the last 5 years. Officers reportedly seized drugs, weapons, cell phones, and other evidence tying the 6 men to the gang.
Announced the indictment of 11 suspected gang members. Investigators say they're part of the 1831 Piru's blood subset. This picture shows some of the evidence they collected. 9 were arrested during coordinated early morning raids in Cobb, Paulding, Fulton, and Fayette counties.
From the concrete grid of Compton and Inglewood, where Piru seats first broke from early Crip alliances and helped forge the modern blood identity, to far-flung corners of Georgia, Tennessee, Maryland, Oklahoma, New Jersey, and New York, the Piru name has traveled with migration, music, prison networks, and the drug economy. The stories that follow track that arc: smash and grab crews hitting luxury jewelers, interstate gun and narcotics pipelines, retaliatory shootings and internal green light discipline, and the multi-agency investigations, RICO, gang terrorism statutes, and federal gun drug cases that have answered them. Woven through are the people and places that define this history. Southern California hubs and mall corridors, Atlanta area corridors and club parking lots, Knoxville housing complexes, Baltimore and New York side streets, and rural Oklahoma highways. Each one a snapshot of how a California street lineage became a national criminal brand.
Treetop Piru's, West Compton, California.
Hey, we got neighborhood nip in the treetop.
This is Treetop, some of it, and then all back this way, you know.
Right down the street from the courthouse.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was hell going there too, because you always meet up with Crips.
Like, if people say I'm kicking it, we say I'm baking it. They say it was cracking, we say it was bracken. They say, oh, that's cool, we say that's bull. You feel me? It's serious, even though I ain't see where we say serious. We say bomity for comedy, we say bomity. It's just, it go on. Everything, Kool-Aid, Bool-Aid. When I really start banging the hood.
What really got you into that?
Oh shit, just, I don't know, just me hanging out, being out with the like niggas I know, you feel me? And then yeah, it got serious. But then, like, see, I was gang banging and then I had rap shit cracking at the same.
Hey, Treetop, period. I never even thought I got this far. I didn't even thought I was gonna be here. Dead homies, Piru.
40 ounces, Campinetta Park, you know what I'm saying, Piru, West Side Piru all the time. You know what I'm saying, P-Funk, you know what I'm saying, blood in general, because I respect all blood. You know what I'm saying, and any man, you know what I'm saying, but you know what I'm saying, I just got out of jail, you know what I'm saying, a couple of ways, this is juvenile, you know what I'm saying, for you youngsters. Get out, you know what I'm saying, walking down the street, you know what I'm saying, going with my girl house, we bigging for a minute, you know what I'm saying, go to McDonald's, get something to eat and shit, you know what I'm saying, on the way back, dump her off at the house, I bail down the street, you know what I'm saying, some food on the bike, you know what I'm saying, walking on the bike, I'm thinking it's my homie on my bike, you know what I'm saying, I run up to him, what's up, homie, he shot me in the neck, bam, I break and shit, you know what I'm saying, shot me up, you know what I'm saying. Survive, you know what I'm saying, and still, you know what I'm saying, I'm right here today, you know what I'm saying, living for you youngsters, you know what I'm saying, and if y'all wake up, you know what I'm saying, to be a better place, because we need y'all.
My little homies with that, they follow my lead. Blood is a good ass feeling when my enemies bleed. My hood consists of criminals, drug dealers, gang banging, that a slug.
Nee. Oh yeah, TP. NLK. Real simple.
We have the Coima Piru Bloods.
Nina Rupa calling Piru Blood, Northside 2100 block.
Happy Hood Day, Happy Hood Day.
Are you trying to picture of blood?
Nah, we about to FaceTime him right now, matter of fact.
We'll take it off. I ain't had a bag on me, beat off where the store. I'm in the store, I'm trying to rap, and bitch keep calling my phone. He and Trick right up, they chopping, man, shut down the stove.
Got somebody out here this way do want to pull up with me. Let's do it.
Who your way?
Anybody.
What you at?
Can't bring your ass.
Put me in that
Where did Mob Piru come from?
Mob Piru the birth of all of that on the east side came from Ludus Park.
Got you. Okay.
Before the mob, they was Linwood Crips. And all of their OGs used to be Ludus Park, then they became the mob.
Okay.
Home to Ludus Park Piru, then you got the mob, so you cross roads there. Gangsters ain't scared to die. They even risk their life by sneaking into a rival gang's hood, just to spray paint their gang in the wall.
Stop playing. The best gang.
Tupac comes over to death row, and he starts, like, tattooing Mob on his arm.
Yeah. Like with looters and the mob, if you cross Bradfield, now we got a difference.
Oh yeah, we out here in Compton, mob gang, you know what I'm saying? Just chilling, watching out for these crabs and shit, you know. We just chilling, though.
Look though, he came from these projects though. He came from these projects, from Village. So that's what I'm saying, nigga. That we ain't doing nothing, the hood gone, that, you know what I'm saying, like we just disappeared or something. Like,
nah, man, you boys still out here, man. Shit going on, man. Yeah, man. This where the projects used to be at, man. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you see the bird right there. It's still active out here. Yeah, man.
Oh yeah, man, we ain't going nowhere. We staying right here. They might took the buildings, but we still out here, man, every day.
Pirus began in early 1970s, Compton, California, taking their name from Piru Street. First allied with emerging Crip sets, the Piru Street Boys split after violent clashes around 1972 and helped form the Bloods alongside Brims, Bishops, and Denver Lanes, keeping Piru as a distinct Compton identity under the red flag. Through the 1980s crack era, Piru sets like Fruit Town, Treetop, Elm Street, Looters Park, Cedar Block, and Mob Piru expanded and organized, mixing neighborhood loyalty with drug and gun trafficking. West Coast hip-hop amplified Piru culture, while RICO cases and task forces intensified. In the 1990s to 2000s, migration, prison networks, and music spread the brand nationwide, spawning chapters often adapting California codes to local beefs and markets. Today, Piru remains one of the strongest blood lineages. Semi-independent sets tied by shared symbols, slang, and alliances, operating from Los Angeles County across the U.S. A legacy rooted in resistance to Crip domination and shaped by 5 decades of street conflict, culture, and law enforcement pressure.
Friday, acting Cobb County District Attorney John Melvin announced the indictment of 11 suspected gang members. Investigators say they're part of the 1831 Piru's Blood subset. This picture shows some of the evidence they collected. 9 were arrested during coordinated early morning raids in Cobb, Paulding, Fulton, and Fayette counties, with a high concentration near Milledgeville.
The 1831 Pirus have struck every single area of Cobb County, but they're most strongly concentrated in the area that's mentioned in the indictment.
Manuel Salvador Gomez, Alejandro Jose Alcala, Juan Manuel Contreras are seen in these mugshots. This 65-page indictment outlines 74 counts. Officials say they were able to link the suspects back to crimes that happened in 2012.
In Georgia targeted the 1831 Piru Bloods, an affiliated set of the West Coast origin Piru Bloods gang, for a series of racketeering, assault, firearms, and drug crimes across Cobb, Fulton, and surrounding counties. One major operation announced in March 2019 indicted 11 alleged gang members under the Georgia Street Gang Terrorism Prevention Act and Georgia RICO statute. The 74-count indictment alleged that the gang engaged in armed robberies, aggravated assaults, narcotics distribution, and weapons offenses, and that the group imported the set structure from California into Metro Atlanta. The gang's activity was said to span all 5 precincts of Cobb County, with strong presence in specific corridors like Clay Drive and Atlanta Road. During a later federal investigation called Operation Tourniquet, the Athens-Clarke County region, 1831, Piru cell was prosecuted for drug trafficking and firearms offenses. The leader, Gregory O'Neill Wade Jr., Big Homie, and co-defendant Jonathan Edward Brown pleaded guilty in June 2023 to conspiracy to distribute drugs and machine gun possession. In Wade's apartment, officers found nearly 1 kilogram of fentanyl, 90 grams of coke, 8 pounds of Mary, and a Glock 19 modified to full automatic with high-capacity magazines. Wade admitted to buying, selling large amounts of drugs and using the machine gun for protection. Wade faces 10-year minimum to life sentences. Brown faces similar exposure. One co-defendant remains at large.
Locations raided, 24 gang members indicted. Federal and local authorities worked to serve warrants just before you were waking up here this morning. And ABC2 was one of the only news organizations allowed to go along. The target was a gang. It was called the Murderland Mafia Piru, or MMP. Members operated in northwest Baltimore City and neighboring county neighborhoods. So Windsor Mill, Gwen Oak, Howard Park, and Woodlawn and Liberty Heights, that entire area lived in fear, authorities say. And right now, MMP ran drugs, they ran guns, they laundered money at Maryland casinos, and the feds have pegged 5 non-fatal shootings in the group, but think they might be responsible for at least a dozen more. And this morning, after the raids were conducted, the U.S. Attorney said this sends a message.
A member of the violent Murderland Mafia Piru Bloods gang was sentenced to federal prison on Thursday. 28-year-old Devon Dent of Baltimore was sentenced to 14 years behind bars for racketeering and drug conspiracy. Prosecutors say he admitted that as part of his gang activities, he distributed and was present when a co-defendant attempted to victim outside a Baltimore nightclub.
I'm Denise Koch. A member of a violent Bloods gang was sentenced to 30 years in prison for racketeering and drug conspiracy charges related to his gang activities. 33-year-old Dontre Gambino Johnson pleaded guilty to the charges earlier this year. He admitted to being a member of the Murderland Mafia Piru, a subset of the Bloods gang. According to Johnson's plea agreement, the gang controlled the drug trade in large parts of northwest Baltimore and Baltimore County. Johnson admitted that he fellow MMP member Antoine Ellis and Brian Johnson.
The Murderland Mafia Pirus, a violent subset of the Bloods gang, operated in Baltimore and surrounding areas, where it became known for its brutal enforcement tactics and widespread drug trafficking operations. Formed as part of the nationwide Bloods network, the Pirus adopted a hierarchical structure modeled after the Italian Mafia, with Dante Bailey, known on the streets as Gutta, Almighty, and Wolf, serving as the gang's top leader. Under his direction, the Mafia Pirus asserted dominance over neighborhoods like Forest Park, Windsor Mill, Gwen Oak, Howard Park, Woodlawn, and Walbrook Junction. In 2016, a sweeping federal indictment charged 24 members of the Murderland Mafia Piru with racketeering, drug trafficking, multiple deletions, attempted deletions, extortion, money laundering, firearms violations, and witness tampering. The federal government alleged that the gang ran highly organized drug operations in and around the 5,200 block of Windsor Mill Road, a known hotspot for narcotics activity that attracted customers from across state lines. The gang also used violence as a primary tool of control, eliminating perceived threats and retaliating against disloyalty with deadly force. Dante Bailey was ultimately sentenced to life in federal prison after being found guilty of deletion in aid of racketeering, racketeering conspiracy, drug trafficking, and firearms offenses. His leadership of the gang was marked by ruthless enforcement of gang rules and personal involvement in gang-related violence. Another high-ranking member, Jamal Lockley, also known as T-Roy and Droid, received a 30-year sentence for his role in racketeering and drug conspiracies, including incidents of witness tampering and retaliation against those who cooperated with law enforcement. Shaquem Davis, known on the streets as Creams, was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison after he was convicted of racketeering, drug conspiracies, and firearms charges. Among his most brazen acts was a 2015 attempted double deletion, where he fired an assault rifle at 2 individuals in broad daylight, underscoring the gang's disregard for public safety. Dontre Johnson, who went by Gambino, also pleaded guilty to racketeering and drug conspiracy charges. He was sentenced to 30 years in federal prison after admitting to deleting 2 fellow gang members, acts committed in response to their disloyalty and failure to pay gang dues. His confession highlighted the internal violence that often accompanies criminal organizations of MMP scale.
Newly obtained officials say that the Treetop Piru gang was under investigation by the Knoxville Police Department for the last 5 years. Officers reportedly seized drugs, weapons, cell phones, and other evidence tying the 6 men to the gang. They're all sentenced for multiple crimes, including...
The Knoxville Police Department initiated an investigation in 2017 targeting trafficking activities centered around the Walter P. Taylor Homes apartment complex. This probe uncovered extensive criminal operations conducted by members of the Treetop Piru's gang, leading to a series of indictments. A central figure in the investigation, Raffle Malik Griffin, Jr., played a key role in the Treetops gang's operations in Knoxville. The investigation began in 2017, revealing that Griffin was operating within a highly organized drug distribution network. His criminal activities were centered around the Walter P. Taylor Homes apartment complex, where trafficking was rampant. Law enforcement officials seized significant amounts of drugs, firearms, and digital evidence linking Griffin to these crimes. One of the most critical events in the case was the demise of Juan Washington on January 17, 2018. Washington, a fellow Treetop Piru gang member, was deleted by Griffin and other gang members after refusing orders to travel to California for a retaliatory shooting. This deletion was orchestrated to enforce discipline within the gang and maintain its violent grip on operations. At trial, Griffin was convicted of first-degree premeditated deletion for his role in Washington's deletion. Due to the gang-related nature of his crimes, sentencing enhancements applied, leading to a life sentence for deletion plus an additional 25 years for drug and firearm offenses. Following his conviction, Griffin appealed his case, arguing that the evidence presented was insufficient to support his conviction and that errors were made in allowing certain testimonies. However, the Tennessee Court of Criminal Appeals upheld the trial court's decision, ensuring that Griffin would remain incarcerated on injury.
Gang members sentenced to 25 years to life for kidnapping, murdering a man, and dumping the body in Forest Park. 2 Brooklyn gang members will be spending years behind bars for kidnapping and deleting a Williamsburg man and dumping his body in Forest Park in 2012, Brooklyn District Attorney Ken Thompson announced on Wednesday. The defendants identified by the DA's office as Trammell Cuenkas and Irving Gavin, both of 702 Warwick Street in East New York, Brooklyn, and members of the Elm Street Piru's gang, were sentenced to 25 years to life in prison on Wednesday by Brooklyn Supreme Court Justice Danny Chun. Cuenkas was convicted on April 14, 2016, of 2 counts of second-degree deletion and 1 count of second-degree robbery after a jury trial. Gavin was convicted on April 18, 2016, of first-degree kidnapping and first-degree burglary by a separate jury. These 2 defendants committed a brazen and heinous crime, Thompson said. They kidnapped a young man in broad daylight in front of his family and later slit his throat and took money, drugs, and a car in payment for these heinous acts. They now deserve to spend many years in prison for their crimes. According to trial testimony, Cuenkas and Gavin forced their way into Thomas Dudley's apartment and held him and 3 of his family members, including Dudley's 8-year-old sister, at gunpoint on November 14, 2012. They then took approximately $10,000 from a safe inside the home. The defendants then tied Dudley's hand and forced him into the back of a U-Haul truck. Dudley's body was found the next day inside Forest Park, with both wrists slashed and his throat cut from ear to ear, Thompson said. Cuenkas and Gavin were arrested on November 19, 2012, after making incriminating statements admitting to the kidnapping, and indicated that it was ordered by another gang member as retaliation for an alleged drug dispute. In exchange for kidnapping Dudley, the defendants expected to be paid in cash, drugs, and a Jaguar. Billy Eugene Thomas, a documented 456 Piru Bloods gang member from Oklahoma City, was arrested in September 2023 after allegedly stealing hundreds of pounds of Mary from a licensed grow facility in Grady County, Oklahoma. According to investigators, deputies responded to a burglary alarm early in the morning and discovered that large quantities of marijuana had been taken. After a brief pursuit that reached speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour on Highway 39, the suspect vehicle blew a tire and came to a stop. Thomas, who was riding as a passenger, was apprehended at the scene, while the driver managed to escape. Deputies later recovered over 140 pounds of stolen Mary, which was returned to the facility owners. Thomas was charged with second-degree burglary, possession with intent to distribute, and multiple related felony offenses. Authorities also linked the crime to gang activity tied to the 456 Piru Bloods. As of the latest court filings, Thomas remains in custody awaiting trial, with prosecutors seeking to enhance penalties under Oklahoma's organized crime and gang statutes. In June 2018, Houston, who pleaded guilty to being a member of the Atlanta-based street gang known as the Mob Piru, was involved in a shooting outside an apartment complex in Noonan, Georgia. During a verbal altercation with Shavar Kavin Elam in the front yard of the complex, Houston believed Elam belonged to a rival gang, and as a result, pulled out a firearm and shot him in the abdomen. Elam was unarmed at the time and suffered serious injuries to his intestines that required surgery. According to the prosecutor, Houston acted with gang motive when he attacked the victim. Houston was charged under Georgia's Street Gang Terrorism Prevention Act, along with counts of aggravated assault, aggravated battery, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. He pleaded guilty shortly before his trial was scheduled to begin. He admitted guilt on all counts, including the gang-related charges, which allowed him to secure a plea arrangement. On August 5, 2019, he was sentenced to a 40-year prison term, with 20 years to serve in prison, followed by supervision for the balance of the sentence. The sentence reflected the severity of the attack, the gang enhancement, and the dangerous conduct of Houston. 6 members of the notorious 135 Piru street gang have been indicted on federal charges ranging from conspiracy to obstruct justice to murder in aid of racketeering. According to federal prosecutors, the 135 Piru's gang originated in Compton, California, and expanded into Georgia, dividing itself into a Southside Atlanta group, a Northside North group, and a Northwest Georgia group. Officials said the 135 Pirus are governed by a set of rules, codes, laws, and oaths, which, among other things, call for death of any gang member who cooperates with law enforcement. According to prosecutors, an argument erupted outside a Brookhaven nightclub in the early morning hours of May 13, 2017, when a California-based 135 Piru's gang member was supposedly disrespected. Maurice Antonio Kent allegedly fired multiple rounds into a crowd of people outside the club, wounding a gang member from another gang and a security guard. Kent, 17, was arrested on the scene. 135 Pirus gang members then came to believe was talking to the police about the shooting. On June 3, 2017, according to prosecutors, Nwanjoku, Hughes, Fouts, and Sams Jr. devised a plan to lure Kent Old to Bartow County and delete him. Kent's body was later discovered lying on the side of a rural road in Bartow County. 4 days later, Hughes and Fouts encountered a member of another gang at an Ackworth gas station, according to police. After words were exchanged, Hughes allegedly got out of the passenger side of Fouts' vehicle and shot the member of the other gang multiple times. Undercover police were at the gas station on an unrelated case and saw the shooting. After a short chase, Hughes allegedly tossed the gun out of the car window. The gun was recovered and Hughes and Fouts were stopped and arrested. The federal charges result from 135 Pirus, gang-related crimes, including the May 13, 2017 shooting, the June 4, 2017 demise, and the June 7, 2017 shooting. Antonio Smith, a documented member of the Skyline Piru street gang, was sentenced to 72 years in prison for his central role in a H-trafficking operation that operated in South Knoxville, Tennessee. The conviction came after a June trial where Smith was found guilty of multiple felonies, including 2 counts of sale and delivery of H in a drug-free zone, possession with intent to sell H in a drug-free zone, unlawful firearm possession possession of a firearm during the commission of a dangerous felony, and simple possession of marijuana. According to evidence presented by Assistant District Attorney Takesha Fitzgerald, the case began in December 2014 when Knoxville police officer Robert Rose, part of the repeat offender squad, received intelligence that local dealer Heather Montgomery was distributing H out of the Southmont apartments. Using a confidential informant, officers arranged 2 undercover H buys. During the first controlled purchase, Montgomery sold 2 points of H, about 1/10 of a gram each for $90. A few weeks later, in January 2015, a second buy was set up, but Montgomery informed the informant she needed to wait for her supplier, Antonio Smith, to arrive. Once Smith delivered the product, the sale was completed. Detectives followed Smith after he left the apartment complex and initiated a traffic stop. Inside his vehicle, officers found multiple baggies of H, a Glock 45 caliber handgun, and marked bills used in the undercover transaction. Prosecutors highlighted this as proof that Smith not only supplied H to lower-level dealers, but was armed while operating inside a drug-free zone, an aggravating factor under Tennessee law. At sentencing, prosecutors classified Smith as a career offender due to his extensive violent criminal history, which included 7 prior felony convictions for especially aggravated robbery, vandalism, and 4 counts of aggravated assault. Judge Steve Sword agreed with the prosecution's motion and imposed a 72-year sentence without parole eligibility for decades. District Attorney Sharm Allen stated that Smith's punishment reflected both his continued threat to the community and his persistent involvement in gang-related drug activity. As a gang member with so many prior violent convictions who continues to sell H on the streets of our community, Smith has earned every day of the sentence he received, Allen said, following the hearing. Smith's conviction marked one of the most significant gang-related narcotics cases prosecuted by Knox County's career gang unit that year, demonstrating the department's focus on dismantling repeat violent offenders and mid-level drug suppliers tied to national gangs like the Skyline Piru. Taken together, these cases show 2 enduring truths. Piru sets thrive on local loyalty and decentralized structure, and they fall when patient, coordinated, evidence-driven. Policing meets community witnesses and strong prosecutorial follow-through. The biggest wins come when task forces pair undercover buys, wire and cell site work, gun tracing, and surveillance with state gang enhancements or federal tools like RICO and turning fast, chaotic violence into long, measured sentences. Yet, suppression alone isn't the end of the story. Every indictment leaves a vacuum that communities must fill with credible prevention, re-entry, and youth opportunity. So the next clique doesn't simply inherit the same corners. The Piru narrative, born on a few blocks in Compton and echoed across America, reminds us that place, culture, and policy collide on the street. Lasting safety comes when neighborhoods are stronger than the crews that claim them.